So now let's see how to restrict a user from calling another feature. So what we are doing here, we are creating object of card and we are calling both the features where a user should not be able to call this credit method. So what we can do that thing. We can say instead of creating only one class, we can create three different classes and we can write the implementation here. So instead of writing the implementation in three different classes, we can write the implementation in one class and we can declare that method in all these different classes. So we'll say public abstract void ATM. So in this class ATM, we have a method called as ATM, but this is abstract and we can make it as abstract class. Simple. So if you make this as abstract class, you can say public abstract void ATM, and this card class should implement or should extend this abstract class which is ATM, right? So what we can do now is, so we have the implementation in card class and we have the declaration or the abstract method in this abstract class ATM. So instead of creating a reference of card, we can create a reference of ATM. Since a user needs only ATM, we are creating a reference of ATM and the object or the instantiation will be done by this card class. Now you can see using this obj1 we can only call ATM. We cannot call credit is because in this ATM class it only knows about ATM. We don't have any method called as credit in this ATM class. So this object obj1 don't know about credit. So that's one of the implementation of or one of the use of abstract class. Simple. So even we can, if you want, if a user comes and he needs only debit method or debit card, so what we can do, we can remove this. For this we need one more abstract class. We'll say abstract class debit. And in this debit we'll say public abstract void debit, and instead of extending ATM we'll say extends debit. So what we can do, we can say debit obj1 equal to new card, and we'll say obj dot, if you try go with obj1, if you try to call debit it will call debit, so no errors. But if with this obj1, if you try to call ATM, you can see you will get an error. It's because this debit class don't have a method called as ATM. Simple. So that's the that's how you have to use abstract class. But hold on. What if I need to say ATM comma debit? It's because in future if a user comes and he says I want ATM card, I have not returned ATM here, right? So I've only returned debit, so it will use only debit. But what about ATM? And that's the problem, right? So we have to say ATM comma debit. But unfortunately when you say ATM comma debit, this goes for multiple inheritance, and unfortunately Java doesn't support multiple inheritance with the help of class. That means we have some other way of doing it. Yes, we have some other way of doing it, and that's what we have a concept called as interface. So using interface, you can go for multiple inheritance. Now exactly how it works, that we'll see in the next video.